as a trade-off. We haven't seen too much Jinx in general. The priority has dropped in the playoffs just because you don't have as much early laning pressure. We'll see if Hope ends up bringing this one out. Definitely a pick he can deliver on. And then I expect jungle coming out from JDG. The question is going to be what Kanavi ends up going for. Well, actually, something to mention is a Nautilus left open. Something we see Ming often prioritizing. So I like JDG looking to take this away themselves. I think if you don't ban it, that's fine. But I wouldn't want to give it over to Ming because he'll definitely want to pick that up.
Yeah, and again, look, RNG can go support into mid lane here, support into jungle. The one thing I will say I'm not worried about is Xiaohu and his champion Oisin. He has so many things he can go for if they decide they want to go for it. Yeah, so jungle
definitely Viego. I think that's a definite. And as much as I'd like the Nautilus for Ming, I think they care more about the mid pick. LeBlanc's so good at bursting down targets to provide so Viego can get that reset, and also I feel like Xiaohu on this pick can just do so much.
Yeah, and now you're kind of in a weird situation as JDG. Do you pick up your jungler? Do you look to pick up your support to get an earlier or better version in the bot side? We do see a lot of action early on from RNG in that bot lane, but it looks like they're going to try and prioritize something for Kanavi. He has actually going to go with something a little bit different. Again, went with the Hecarim in Game 3, can't go with the Volibear that leads in, so goes with the Xin Zhao.
I just feel like Hecarim's not something I feel like he's as comfortable on as other junglers in terms of the role he provides for his team. Yes, Xin Zhao has been nerfed and we've seen the priority lower. It is something he brought out in his series against Weibo and definitely still has that early pressure, right? The only thing that mostly got trimmed was 1 second of his E cooldown, which is whatever, but the ult duration, which is mostly in team fights when you're already hopefully ahead in the game is the game plan. So now JDG, I feel like you can look to ban away the Nautilus unless you want to take it yourself. They're looking towards that Rakan initially, and I expect to see Missing come in with the 4-pick and get priority on support, and then a counter pick for 369. So maybe RNG, instead of thinning the support pool and hurting themselves potentially, just start targeting 369 here. Maybe things like the Jace, the Kennen, definitely things you could get rid of.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to start going for that, and I completely agree with you. I think, sadly, I don't like saying this about many players, Bin's kind of been a bystander. He hasn't really had any resources given to him, and he also hasn't really been able to deal with anything given to him.
In this series or in the whole split?
I mean, I'll let the chat
There's been
decide.
a couple
I'll let the audience decide that.
There's definitely been some series where he's been more active later, or the team have given him a bit, but for the most part, this has been, such a bot-centric, and not just bot, but like bot side of the map, like mid and bot-centric team for RNG. Now, we do see Leona banned away there. Nautilus is still open. If JDG take that, I feel like you're okay with it. There's definitely picks you can take into it. I feel like if you ban Nautilus, then you're just sitting in the pool more for RNG.
Yeah, I want to see the Kennen ban here. I think just get rid of it, get it off the board, and then see what 369 wants to try and counter into you. And yep, there it is. Going to take that one away. Because, despite last game, 369 has had all the, the resources given to him. We saw so much early priority for Kanavi. There was 2 kills on that top side for the side of JDG, just straight up on that top end. So, getting rid of things that can carry super hard. I want to see what RNG now try and just take to mitigate it. I think the Gragas was fine. It didn't do exceptional, but it didn't need to do anything different other than just tank it up.
Yeah, you just chilled and provide the sort of weak side role for your team. And now Ming looking towards the Alistar likely. It's expected the Nautilus to come in as denial as well as securing that for JDG, but I feel like you do want that primary engage in the support role. Things like Alistar, Rel are kind of there, but mostly it's been that Alistar has been the fallback when things like Leona, Nautilus, Rakan are gone. Now, for Bin, he's just going to go for the Gragas again. He knows what his job is in this game. The question mark is, what will 369 take? Graves will be a fine lane matchup in it, just able to farm up and scale and be pretty strong. I do have some concerns of how he'll function in teamfights, right? Because it's quite hard to approach anyone from RNG. And he is obviously short range. You can go to the Thaldi build to extend that and be a bit more bursty. By the way, 369 will take that. And this is a comp we're working with. Honestly, I feel like once again, RNG can be kind of happy with this one. They have the Viego for Wei. Kanavi, the Xin Zhao is definitely something that can have that early impact, but not being on the Lee Sin, another check mark that I would be happy for them with.
Absolutely, and again, Xin Zhao has fallen down our priority of junglers. You think about it, it has been Volibear, Lee Sin, Viego, and then you're kind of into the Hecarims, the Xin Zhaos, because it does feel like they struggle, especially on 12.5B, that they don't have the exact same impact. Remember, at the start of the split, it was all about Xin Zhao, it was about his priority. He just got a couple of nerfs, and also the Gore Drinker Sterix nerf hit huge.
I think it's like the nerfs he got to him himself weren't like humongous, but it just trimmed power he'd already lost from losing, like Gore Drinker being weaker,
Sterix Gauge
as well. And I feel like before that, he was like not only did he spike so hard early, he was so strong early, so strong in the mid game with those items, and then also late game held up because of the ultimate. So still going to be able to find possible early ganks, but won't hit as hard after that point. And I think, again, I'm looking at Kanavi, you're into the Viego, you're going to have more agency pre-6. That's where you want to get the ball rolling. That's when you want to try and find some possible angles. It's a bit tricky because ganking an Alistar Xayah, not easy. Ganking a Gragas, also not easy when your Graves unit set up. LeBlanc, not easy. So perhaps this is a game where we see JDG play more for their jungler, and we actually see them sort of look to invade with him and challenge this Viego before he's level 6 when he's just trying to farm up.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. We are jumping onto the Rift. This is Game 4. JDG still looking to end this series out and put themselves up with a date in the winners final against Top Esports. RNG fighting to make sure they do not have to lose their life this early on in the tournament. It is going to be another interesting setup, especially around that bot side. It's been so bottom half of the map centric in this game, in this series, that I want to see now what these two teams can do differently.
It's just been bully Hope mostly for RNG in this series. And
poor Hope.
We'll
got an MVP in Game 1 though.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. He bounced back, but we'll see if they continue on that passage of play. I expect top lane will kind of be left to its own devices. There's definitely windows where you can gank the Ahri early if Xiaohu can find setup, but particularly I feel like it's just trying to get way to 6 without being really contested, and then lean your pressure down towards bot lane in particular. Potentially threaten dives, look to get them to have prio so they can reset for the Herald, all the standard game plan for RNG.
Well, we have seen a little bit of adaptation coming out here from JDG. They are stacking towards that top side to make sure they can get rid of that early vision. And now we actually might see, oh dear, they might be a little bit overzealous here and trying to go for this one. Ooh, doesn't land the pulverize. That was big, but now Xiaohu might be in a little bit of trouble.
Ming's just so confident.
Yeah, I mean, he can be. Nautilus is one of the best early games in the entire League of Legends. He's going to see Ming flashing away. He can't run from Destiny. First blood to JDG. That was a good punish.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it just felt like Ming was trying to play defensive there, play confident on the vision, and Missing just able to walk up, knowing there was very little threat to take him down. He had the back of the team. Critically, Hope gets the kill. 400 gold to that Aphelios. Absolutely stellar for him. And a good start for the bot lane of JDG.
And look what he can do with his Gala. You don't really have a choice but to just back away, as we can see here. Just Ming not really missing it. This was fine, but then missing the pulverize, not getting the glacial augment.
Well, it's the glacial augment from Missing meant he wasn't able to walk in range of and land it. And then Missing just walks up, but I feel like Ming, you probably should have just instantly flashed over the water. To be honest, you probably would have died because it just flashed after you. It was kind of doomed as soon as you ended up in that position. And critically, the Ignite isn't a thing that kills him. It's Hope who ends up getting that first blood. They will then zone away Gala and Ming quite heavily. And you see, they only just hit level 2 now because they're trying to stall it as much as possible and just prevent the approach.
Yeah, we're going to see another hook landing, but this time around it is a much better pulverize from Ming to keep that damage trade going in the favor of RNG. But this is great from JDG. Again, Hope, we talked about it for this entire series, has been bullied so heavily, and finally he gets to do a little bit of it back.
Yeah, and, you know, good start, and it just means Kanavi is pathing down towards that boss side, can play coverage for them so Wei can't really find a window in. That should mean he's able to secure that bot side scuttle because of the priority that he has afforded to him. Alistar just notoriously pretty useless level 1, and the fact he's had it delayed so heavily before that level 2 doesn't really set him up to be in a good position.
No, it really doesn't. But now with Kanavi in this bot side, we'll see now. It's actually just going to ward and walk away. This is just so smart. Yeah, it's just covering, saying, look, we know that most likely without the flash being on Hope, we are probably going to see the Viego maybe try and make something happen.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is that when you have a lane pushing heavily like this, having control, trying to apply pressure, trying to deny away from the opposite side, you want coverage from your jungler. And, you know, the fact that they predict Wei is going to be on that bot side means 369 is very comfortable just to keep applying pressure. This is the thing with the Graves, is you can just easily shove waves in and then farm up to be strong.
Well, we know that JDG have that priority in bot side. I want to know where this Kanavi, you know, kind of Zhao goes. Right now, it looks like he's just going to try and path himself up towards that top side. And honestly, with 369 on the Graves, that is another avenue in. Again, with something they are so prolific at in this entire split for JDG has been, you know, focusing those resources on that top side. We will see Wei finally realize that there is a ward in the brush, and he will just clear that one off while they get the push in bot.
Yeah, well, I mean, mostly Kanavi's just been assisting his lanes here because I'm going to be honest, there's not like a ton you can actually do to really gank in these situations. None of the lanes are really that easy to find opportunities, but he'll just move around. You know, he'll collect the bot side scuttle. He's getting a top side scuttle as well. Helps a shove in mid from Yagao. He's happy with the way the lanes are going at the moment, and we're just trying to continue them going in that direction.
Yeah, might try and steal away a Gromp as well, should he feel so inclined, but does recognize with the Scryer's Bloom that the Viego is on his way up towards that top side, so not quite able to make that one work for himself as they get a reset here for Wei. And yes, it's an unfortunate first blood going over for the side of RNG against them, but they are stabilizing very nicely. It is just going to be that kill in the difference and then a little bit of CS on top.
But I mean, the critical thing again is that we want this in Zhao. Pre-6 is when he really spikes in terms of his ganking power. And then when Wei on the Viego hits level 6, that's where things are a bit evened out, in skirmishes at least.
Wow.
So
good charm.
Yeah, won't find the chains there. But it's been a fairly slow early game, and I feel like my sort of story for coming into the series, it hasn't really panned out that way, but it was always I expected Kanavi, and particularly in a matchup like this with the junglers, I want to see pressure from Kanavi, make things happen, because if you just let RNG play things out, they'll start to pick up the neutrals. They tend to lean towards that, but you know, it was 3.5 weeks between when last being seen, and I think RNG's prio on that first Herald has been lower than we've seen throughout the whole regular season. Feels like they're happy to trade it off and be a bit more comfortable in that regard, and not necessarily commit so heavily towards it.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it as well. RNG trying to, and they've had some teething issues in the first 2 games of trying to change that style, shall we say, and hasn't really worked out for them, as we do see Missing now looking to see if he can maybe make a catch, but just going to take away the big cannon minion and give that over to Yagao. And I love that from Xiaohu. He's just unafraid. He says, I know you're all here. I don't care. I'm a LeBlanc. Try and hook me.
That's the thing. You have 3 people there, and he's still confident to go in with the distortion because he has the ult as well to get away. And I think this is just why it's going to be a slow early game.
Oh,
right?
Here we go. They're going to jump straight in on top of him. He's going to be 100-0'd. Ming with the redemption play in the bot side. And that just comes down to the fact that Missing spent too much time mid.
And now they can go for the dragon. And as I said, slow early game really sets up RNG to do what they want. Wei has just been farming comfortably. He's now going to pick up that dragon. It gives them a window to easily set up as well for that first Herald in a minute 30. And I love the play coming out from Ming. Flash is up for hope now. That whole... Oh.
No, we're good, we're good.
Okay, we're good, yeah. So his flash was down for the whole early game. Find the engage opportunity just before it comes up.
We're gonna. This is a bit of a pinch, though. I don't think you want to be here, JDG. They're going to try and go for this one here, but Missing is already dead, and now you're going to get reset. Wei lands it over the wall, even gets the passive down. He can't get out, though, because he's already only level 5. Just about hits him, but that's going to be Hope losing his flash.
I feel like if that's like a Nautilus grab from a standard LPL support, it's not that big of a deal. We see them do that a lot. It's still good, don't get me wrong. But the fact Wei's like, I'm a jungler and I'm just gonna bring out this Nautilus and land this sort of curve it around the wall hook. It doesn't obviously end up killing Hope, but I like the aggression coming out from RNG because I think they knew we have a numbers advantage here, right? We have a Viego as well, and sure, he's pre-6, he can't jump out of Missing, but the resets are very much still there. They burst out the Nautilus, and JDG know they just have to get out, and it's just
if he's level 6, that's dead Aphelios. The only reason he doesn't kill him is because he can't actually get out of the Nautilus.
And I think that's just such a broken thing about Viego, because you can play champions with broken hitboxes like Nautilus with his Q.
Without having to take him. You get everything the enemy is good at, so are you. But that is another kill, and the dragon going over to RNG. They have brought back the gold nicely into an even state. And we are going to start seeing them now maybe look to try and pressure around this Herald. But actually, no, never mind. They're actually going to keep their bot lane relatively close to the bot side and look to try and maybe just deal with these lanes as they start to come in. But JDG, not to be outdone, they will start to push in and use their priority within mid and top to get this advantage, get those camps stolen away.
Yeah, Wei is going to be level 6 pretty soon. Right, that's a big aspect when, yeah, he's going to be a lot more comfortable with the fights. Be interesting to see this prio now achieved for RNG's bot lane. They could move up and look to play for this Herald, but for the time being, I think they feel confident in Xiaohu and Wei and just contesting JDG's mid-jungle away.
I love this from Xiaohu. They know that they don't know that Wei is here, so they're just trying to go in. Now they do know he's there. They will just get themselves caught out, sadly, by the Scryer, but it is going to be a good start here. Both junglers just hovering here. This is kind of a who knows who and who knows what's going on.
Yeah, but they don't know that they know that they don't know.
Okay, everyone knows now.
Yeah, everyone knows now.
Everyone knows that Wei is there and also that they can just back away. So nothing gained, nothing lost. As both junglers find themselves on equal footing realistically. And We start to wait now, and this Dragon stacking kind of coming in for RNG. They're going to be trying to get that as quickly as they possibly can, similar to Game 3, where they did find that soul, and it was just, again, just another win condition for them.
Yeah, and, you know, trying to be said, top lane, pretty significant lead for 369 so far. Has only picked up that one plate, but clearly doing well. We finally see the swap coming through from the bot lanes, leaning towards that Herald. RNG a little bit ahead, and they might look for a pick here onto Missing.
He is going to sit there. He's very tanky. Don't forget that.
This is the RNG I know and love.
Yes, this is the RNG. Both supports only level 5, though. You got to be careful. Here we go. Full 5v5. They're going to land the hook. The charm comes in as well. They're going to get themselves. But Hope is a little bit trouble here. Xiaohu tries to get on top of him. We'll have to go back to his distortion. Here comes the Heartbreakers, and the resets are all coming in. This is the RNG that want to fight over Herald. This is the RNG that feel comfortable. Flash, belly bop, and Yagao has nowhere to go. Gala picks that one up. RNG come to life around the Herald.
RNG fighting that first Herald. That is the regular season team, came second seed that we know, and the ability to find that fight with the Viego, the resets, so instrumental. This is why this pick has been so big for Wei, and they just absolutely crushed JDG. The Zhao, something we wanted to see spike early, wasn't able to find the windows, the opportunities, and when it comes to fight like these, this is Viego's prime environment.
Absolutely. You said you wanted to see the Viego or the Zhao spike, but he got dunked on by the Viego coming into this one. And yes, it's a great start, but you've killed the Alistar. Not exactly a high priority.
And I think what's flawless as well is the fact that Xiaohu completely chunks Hope, so Hope just has to leave, because he knows if he stays in range of the Viego, he's just going to get ulted and reset, and it just means they can continue to chase down, find these kills. 5 and 2, it's only a 1,000 gold lead, but they do manage to find that advantage. Now, they didn't pick up the Herald, they didn't want to overstay for the resets, but they are back on the map. JDG have started up. There is a ward. They know this is going on.
Yeah, they know this is happening right now, so they can contest if they so choose, but it looks like they're going to choose not to. Dragon is going to be spawning up in about 40 seconds. Yeah, and the bot lane's moving up from JDG, so this is just going to be a Herald given up, but you do have the Xayah pushing in on that bot side, so you are going to get that priority there, and it is going to be a little bit more of, again, back to Game 1 and Game 2 from RNG, where they focus towards Gala and they start to try and stack those Drakes.
Yeah,
good charm.
Well, they got the fight they wanted. Xiaohu just gets out without using a second distortion. I think critically, JDG's bot lane had started to move first, and I think that's why RNG weren't willing to go for it. So, you know, JDG had that initial prio. They don't want to take a fight where they're not there. And that's the critical thing. That first fight came from RNG being there first, being set up on the objective. But now they will look towards that Dragon, trying to establish some control. Not starting up yet, though. A reset coming in for Wei. I believe he has his Divine Sundra that he wants to pick up. And then play around that spike. He is really strong right now.
Yeah, huge spike now for Wei. And Kanavi is going to have to take a reset. He's no mana right now, actually, funny enough. I think he's going to get a little bit of a spike of it now as he takes the Gromp. But this is great from the side of RNG, but this isn't unheard of in this series. We've seen them twice in Game 1 and in Game 2, both on blue side, that they were able to get these early advantages, and still JDG were to come back. I will say it's a little bit of a different beast in terms of the drafts. It's a little bit of a different beast in terms of how they've been playing in Game 3 and 4, but now with Dragon being started up, it will reset. Oh, that's unfortunate for JDG, and they're not going to be able to get this unless they really want to go for a contest.
Yeah, there is a TP from Bin. 369 is already walking, but he's going to be able to come in if they need, and Xiaohu posing a lot of threat here.
Yeah, if they group up, it's going to be a lot closer than they think. Here we go. They're going to try and get on top of everybody. Is Missing, has to go golden, doesn't land the dredge line. Ming is just tanking up everything in eternity, but Viego is the first to fall. Finally, to take out the Nautilus. Yagao's got themselves some resets, but it's a 1-for-1, and RNG still get the Dragon, so you still think a net win for RNG.
A bit botched, though, I'm going to say, from Wei. He got the Dragon, great, but he ulted, I believe, before the stasis had worn out. Now, big pick.
Oh, that was huge there, but can they take him out? 369, not quite falling, never mind. Bin gives him a drink, and it knocks him under the table.
Bin finds a window, walks down, and catches his counterpart, so will be a trade up in the end for RNG. And ultimately, they got what they wanted. They got the Dragon. It's going to be an Ocean Soul, which, honestly, pretty nice, I'd say, for this composition. Gragas will be quite tanky later, Viego even. You know, good smite coming out from Wei, but I'm pretty sure he mistimed his ult a fair bit, and then as a result, didn't get the reset. So I think the timing comes in here. Yeah, the stasis is still there. And he's not able to finish off Kanavi, he's not able to get Missing. It's still a trade even because of Xiaohu landing the chains, but, you know, could have been a bit better. I feel like if you started chain those resets, you would have got Kanavi as well.
Look what Bin does. He drops down the... he knows exactly what he's doing. He's like, I'm going to get full damage out of this. And in fairness, the Graves almost survives and they almost kill off Xiaohu, but it doesn't end up going that way. And Bin gets revenge, and finally Bin's coming into this series. Finally,
he's doing something.
He's doing something now in this top side, and this is the first time really all series that we've seen 369 under a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's still fine in the side lane, especially he's got Hex Drink, he's got Eclipse. He has gone for that Lethality Graves. I said I was a little bit concerned about how the Crit Graves would function against this comp of RNG, so I do prefer this build. But ultimately, he's just going to be easy time in the side lane, but in team fights, that's where the Gragas can really flourish.
See what they're able to do as we come back into the game. It is about a 1,000 gold lead in favor of RNG. We kind of get a couple of resets coming in. Ocean Soul, like you mentioned earlier, is way gonna have to make himself scarce, I feel, right now, as he's not really gonna want to try and trade his life. As I say that, Heartbreaker comes out, the Charm's gonna land as well, and Way, you're dead, buddy. I'm sorry, that was greedy and that was unnecessary. Hope picks up that kill, and that's the little things that we've talked about this series that are just really in the side of RNG. There's no need to give your life for a pink ward that, guess what, you didn't even get.
And this kind of feels a little bit reminiscent of Game 1 and 2, where JDG were a team who are better at punishing and grouping when someone's overextended, or maybe sometimes RNG would look for a pick, and JDG would be very sharp and responsive at dealing with that. And it's kind of a situation there. There's no reason for Way to be their solo, right? You can just wait until your mid lane or your bot lane can pair up with you and support you. So a little bit messy. Gold basically even now between the two teams. In fact, dead even at this moment.
Yeah, absolutely dead even. Now Kanavi going to get over the wall with a blast cone, and this could be a bit of a surprise here for Ming. He needs to be very careful with how he approaches this one here. A lot of wards everywhere right now. They eventually pop down a sweeper. Yeah, they spotted him there off on the side.
Oh, and we get 369 roams down, the bin follows. We've seen this before. They won't find anything there, but it just feels like both top laners trying to impact the rest of the map.
Yeah, and again, it is coming down to the bottom half of the map. It's not about the top half. It's about that dragon side and further down. It is about getting Gala and Hope the resources and the time they need. And they're both pretty even now on this bot side. However, I will say you are fast approaching the all-important power spike for the Xayah with the Mermana and, of course, the Eclipse.
Yeah, and we are approaching next Dragon. Herald, second Herald's going to be up as well. I feel like Dragon's a higher priority now because if RNG secure an Ocean Soul, it really goes a long way. There's a lot of burst available to the JDG. Again, I said tankier members like the Gragas, even the Viego when he took a couple of items, that extra sustain, it makes it so much harder to cut through them. And they are trying to get control of the objective of the area early. It is a Ocean Soul map, so I feel like having vision there first is quite important because there's extra brushes to deal with.
Absolutely, and for RNG, they're going to try and keep going for this. I will say they do have a little bit of an easier time. You've got a couple of different options for engages, whereas on the side of JDG, you're kind of hoping for odd number skirmishes. You're hoping the Zhao finds somebody, gets the Crescent Guard off to isolate them away, maybe a land a charm, and the only real kind of guaranteed engage you have is going to be that Nautilus, so it is a little bit more difficult for JDG to approach the fights, but if they're there first, they could have a much better time.
Yeah, there's a lot of single target damage from JDG. They do very well in the front to back, right, because Zhao can buy so much time, and you can just have Graves and the Aphelios for DPS, but I feel like RNG has so many more creative ways they can approach a fight, which is why I feel like they're comfortable in this. It's now 30 seconds to that Dragon. Both teams are trying to posture for control of the area, but JDG kind of have the edge, but we now see mid-prio comes in, and RNG looking to respond.
Yeah, well, Bin does not have a TP, so he pushed out that top side. Now is going to try and push in here. We will see the dredge line land as they try and get a bit of single target CC down. They are going to get the knock up on the trees onto Gala as 369 tries to take him out. He will have to be using his ult and his heal. We are going to push back in. Yagao trying to get something going. The Everfrosted Charm. They landed onto Bin. He flashes, but it's all a little bit too late. And there's a fantastic hook from Missing right into the face of Xiaohu. JDG alive in this game.
Yeah, they find it, and they're looking for more.
Oh, they're looking for it to try and get on top of 369, but the Maw keeps him alive as well as the heal from Hope, and they are able to keep him going. It is going to be Dragon eventually going over to the side of JDG, but RNG, they are still very powerful.
Yeah, they're looking for more in this situation. They're trying to get this tier 1. It's so low in the mid lane. And ultimately, JDG just a great pick coming out. One of the strengths of the comp, having the Ahri, being able to dive forward and look for the charms. They get the mid lane tier 1. They're going to get this Dragon as well and deny the soul stacking from RNG. They're going to end up with themselves in a goal lead. And this Aphelios for Hope, 3-1 and 2 now in a really comfortable position.
This is probably the closest game we've seen out of all four so far. This is just both teams going tit for tat, looking to try and make their advantages known. Yes, there were great moments for RNG, but JDG have fought back just as hard. So looking at this replay, it is just missing finding a great hook onto Ming and then another great hook towards that mid lane brush.
Yeah, we get the follow-up CC coming out, and then things like the Nautilus ult going through the Alistar onto the Xayah means Galas is disengaged, and then again just great re-engage coming out here. The slow connects and the minions get cleared out to land the charm, and then once the Gragas is gone, Oh, I mean, you can see the control was there, but I feel like maybe Xiaohu didn't spot there was an enemy control within the brush, or maybe just overestimated his ability to react to Missing. But a great passage of play set up by Missing specifically on this Nautilus. And this is why we've seen this pick banned away. It's a great pick for Ming, but also Missing showing very capable of delivering on it.
Now you do have Rift Herald here now for RNG. Yagao is trying to take a reset. He should be able to get it off now. As I say that, he might be in a little bit of trouble. Yes, he is. There's the Spirit Rush coming out. They're tanking up. He's going to flash away. The Everfrost just keep him down. Ming is just tanking everything up. 4 days. They're going to bring in the TP, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. It will not. And now they've got the Charm available here as the Viego's going to come back in. They're going to Heartbreaker back on top of him, and he's going to be taken down. You feel like the Mob Memorius is doing work, and he's keeping himself alive, but for how long? Not long enough. And now we're going to see Gala having to go into his ultimate to keep himself alive, but 2 quick kills on the top side for RNG. They drop the Rift Herald as well. They might get a tier 2.
Yeah, really solid play from them, right? They find an angle of the map where essentially Yagao is just playing wave clear, just wanted to reset, and critically, because of the Xayah in the mid lane being such a safe pick, JDG can't even respond. The TP from 369 ends up backfiring massively, and the dive was just very well orchestrated, right? The Alistar there to tank with the ult, and then afterwards they dip in and out, and if you actually notice what was flawless from Xiaohu is the timing on that final Q, just as the Maw ended up running out. So some brilliant execution, and RNG showing they're very much still in this game.
Very much so. Such a close game right now, and that tier 1 goes down, so RNG bring themselves back into the ascendancy just about. But like you said, very well executed dive. Ming tanking up as much as he needs to, and they just burn everything off Yagao, and then they know it's a surefire kill.
Yeah, and Yagao, you know, he dips out to go away, but then has to dip back in, because essentially, you know, if he goes away from his turret, he's never really surviving. But in the end, the Alistar just able to combat your mobility by just targeting you. But if you look here, still has the magic shield, and then Xiaohu actually goes in, and then as it times out, he goes for the sigil. Ignites as well, so he would have died regardless, but just allows, just makes sure 369 can't do anything. And I feel like as we see fights in this one, I've talked about the resets mechanics of the Viego. Ahri also has the resets. It just feels like these fights are so snowbally. Whoever gets that initial pick, that initial kill, starts to find so much favor over the course of the fight.
We come back in now, and that's going to be Ludens here for the LeBlanc, and almost going up towards that, Void Staff. Not sure it's quite needed as of yet. It will help with 369, of course, but everyone else is kind of like, oh, there's a Banshees actually. Yeah. Never mind, Yagao has a Banshees. Okay, it's a good build. Yeah, you know, Chakras, calm down. You don't have to flame on Twitter. But again, good movement here from both sides, and again, it's about building up that kind of pressure. You have a big spike here with the Xayah now at the Muramana. You are very, very close to a second item here for Hope on the Aphelios, who's quietly built himself up, just got the Bloodthirster. So now both these AD carries at our point of power, and we have a Dragon in a minute 30.
Yeah, a lot of spikes coming in across the board, and a Dragon in a minute 20, you know, again, it would be sole point for RNG. JDG would love to secure, but the critical thing is Baron is now up and available. Both these teams have a lot of DPS for it. I feel like if you win a fight convincingly around this Dragon, you are probably just going to be able to translate it into Baron. So both teams looking to set up. You can see RNG move 5 members initially, not as concerned about the side lanes, but they will move there to establish control initially and try and make sure they have presence throughout the vision. The reason this is so important as well is if you get LeBlanc onto a flank, if the enemy team push in and there's a pocket of vision they don't sweep out, that is where Xiaohu can absolutely deliver. And particularly, if you chunk out Hope to the point where he can't lifesteal because he can't even get close, it just feels like a one fight for RNG.
As well as Yagao will have the Banshees, which does help him a lot, but, and it's a big but, you lose that before the fight really happens, you're very skittish, you're very afraid to walk up as the Ahri. And remember, your Charm is a great tool for catching people out, but it's relatively short range, as we now see Yagao maybe looking to try and just fish for something here. Both teams 5v5 in this mid lane, Dragon spawning in 20 seconds. There's the Banshees that we were just talking about, as Bin and Xiaohu push themselves forward. Gala almost dead right there, has to use his ultimate as the Charm comes in on top of Ming, who does get the knockback down as Missing tries to just keep something going for his team. He knocks back Yagao. He's doing as much as he can to disengage. Gala picks up the honey fruit and keeps himself alive as Yagao gets a reset on the Spirit Rush. Now 4v5, but a lot has been used from the side of JDG. Will they see another engage? Bin looking to try and maybe make something work. They're trying to go on top of it. Xiaohu's going to try and find Yagao, but he won't be able to get it, and Bin goes down. There's nothing he can do. RNG will have to forfeit this unless Wei goes for a miracle steal.
He might try, but I think you have to back away, right? Because you can ult and flash back in, but you'll 100% get chased down. And if you die, Baron's forfeit, right? Yes, the Dragon gets taken by JDG. Yes, it sucks you lost the fight as well, but it's still 2 Dragons for 2. I gotta credit 369 though. This is why I really like the Lethality Graves rather than the crit build we saw before in these games. Because you don't need to walk up and auto people repeatedly. You just throw out your combo, and you chunk out Gala, job's done,
yep.
right? And it means you don't have the sitting range of things like a Xayah, a Gragas, and Alistar, where you're in a really dangerous position. You can see that here, you know, smoke screens, combos, the second activation, the Q chunks Gala, and Gala is not only so low he has to back away, he's also forced to use the ult. Ming is the sacrifice to kind of let Gala get away, and so much value from 369 without having to repeatedly look for auto. So just excellent play coming out from JDG there.
And not only that, but you lost the flash off the Alistar, the ignite, the heal from Gala. You lost so many tools into this re-engage, and honestly, it just felt like it just wasn't really in a position there for RNG to fight. Yes, you had got good damage, but you're not really set up to win in that position.
And again, these fights are going to be snowbally, and particularly the fact that, you know, Viego can't just go in and decide, I'm going to win the fight single-handedly. He kind of wants people to be low. He wants people to chunked out. He wants targets to get resets off. That is when RNG find momentum. And yeah, just a better setup from JDG to force in 369 in particular. Just using that ult for poke, basically, finding opportunities when possible.
He's like a weirder Jace. As a flash has to be used, 369 almost
a Jace, but instead of his shock blast is on like a 90-second cooldown.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's ideal.
Well, Moonlight Vigil does get popped out. Gala takes a lot of damage and actually goes into his ultimate, recognizing that. Look, if he was getting hit by that, but now look at the pressure you have on top side. You've got Yagao pushing in, and you have priority on this Baron. They may go for it.
Yeah, it's so weird that JDG is somehow managing to make this function as a poke comp, but it's working so far. And now they just look straight towards a Baron, and the thing is, they have to approach. Gala's chunked out and has no ult, but RNG should be able to get here in time.
There's good vision here from RNG. They know that they're going to be in the pit. They have a Scryer's Bloom there. And everything kind of comes in. Yagao hasn't been spotted just yet. Xiaohu might be in a lot of trouble, but oh, nicely done there. He had a spidey sense that something was up. Baron at that, baby. That's a great explosive cast there from Bin to completely separate JDG, and now Kanavi needs to try and keep his missing support a little bit more safer as Xiaohu gets himself on the backside. They pop them out by Mortis, and 369 is dead. Look at Gala. He's free hitting with the feathers, and 3 kills out of nowhere. Resets for Wei, and RNG are back in the game.
RNG get a huge fight. Perfect setup. The Gragas just body slamming on repeat, and Wei finally gets those resets we're looking for. JDG make a fumble, they head into the Baron pit, and it sets up RNG to answer back perfectly. They get the big purple worm, and they find a gold lead once again.
This is a battle of heavyweights, and they're not putting their guard up. They're just throwing haymaker after haymaker at each other, both landing massive hits, neither willing to go down or back away. They both just want to try and end this game. You get Baron now for RNG as we look at this fight, because again, look at this explosive cast. It's huge.
Yeah, explosive cast is huge, and Bin ends, 369 ends up tanking up the Baron for a bit. But what I love about this is the use of Bin's body slam on repeat, and then Xiaohu coming up the flank later. So get this big amount of damage coming in the back line. Another body slam comes in, and everyone's just getting chunked down, unable to function. They just keep dying forwards, and this is the scenario where Wei can flourish, when you're getting those resets in the fight.
What a fight there, and oh dear, Kanavi, he gets hit by the explosive cast. He's going to try and dash himself away, but the belly slams are just smacking him in the face constantly, and now they can go into 369. They're going to get the TP out of Yagao, but that's another resource now that JDG don't do, and RNG, they're picking up the pace. They're going through the gears. And
this Gragas is doing so much work. The body slam is on such a short cooldown, right? The CDR in pocket for Bin just means he can keep checking and challenging this in Zhao. Kanavi ends up going down, and the team is continuing to apply that pressure. The wave play is there, thanks to the Graves, but more minions are coming in.
Again, you just can't defend against this. Oh my god, Yagao almost got taken out there by a QW combination of Gala. That's going to secure the tower, and now RNG, they need to figure out. They don't have Baron for a long time, they have it for a good time. So they need to figure out how to make the most out of that good time.
Yeah, well, they're going to reset, spend a bunch of their gold. They're still mid tier 2 up, they're still top tier 2. They can definitely, with the bot lane being pushed in deep, they can kind of just forget that lane now and head up towards the top side of the map to play for it. But I think the call is actually, we want to secure this dragon, would be the third of the game. They want to invest, because as much as they have a lead now, as much as they're ahead, things haven't been surefire. There's definitely been moments where it has gone in JDG's favor, so they want to lock down the extra dragon and look towards that soul again. With how tanky Bin is, with how tanky Ming and even Wei with the death stance, that healing will just make it so much harder to cut through.
Oh, 369. 369. He's rolling a 3. He's a 3. He's a 3 in this one. He ain't looking so fine. And now we can see Ming just pushing forward unafraid. And they still have 30 seconds left on this Baron. It doesn't sound like a long time, but when you haven't got a Graves, you can take everything.
And I think JDG were caught off guard. They were like, okay, they reset. They either go up towards top side, play for those waves, or they go for Dragon. No, RNG just beeline straight mid and look for the engage and catch JDG off guard. And they might look to just push this one in. They don't have a minion wave to tank it, right? The cannon won't get in range, but they want to keep applying that pressure. One misstep could be a mid. Oh.
Missing goes in, does land a hook, but the Feathers get drawn back, and that's the big misstep. You force a mistake, and they get onto the backside. Hope has nothing left. He has to reset onto himself, but he can't get back onto the fountain quick enough. The ignite is good, and this is going to be Game 4 going over to RNG. We get Silver Scrapes for the second day in a row as this series is tied up 2-2.
Absolute banger game can happen from RNG. It was so close, such a back and forth, but RNG 2 games deep to the reverse sweep. They're looking to close this one out. We had one yesterday, and what a series, but the fact that RNG, I mean, honestly, game 1 and 2, they looked lost.
Yeah.
And they looked so much more convincing in game 3. Game 4 was a close one, but members completely stepping up. Xiaohu and LeBlanc, Stella, Bin finally showed his face on the Gragas, was making some hugely impactful casts, but critically, Wei on this Viego, it's a different beast, right?
You have to ban it.
When we were like, the volley bear,
the Oisin and the Viego.
It feels like he's kind of playing it a little bit similarly to how we play the volley bear, but you have to be active in the volley bear, right? You have to be proactive. The Viego, you don't have to.
Yeah, you can be passive. You can pick up objectives.
Exactly. And then when it comes to team fights, I think something that we've seen them very expertly do throughout the split is great target selection, working as a unit in team fights, and that is just ideal scenario for your Viego. You're like, okay, who are focusing this person down? Reset. Yep. Who are focusing this person down? Reset, and so on and so on. And it is just Celestia, but also rough for JDG, right? These 2 bans that have come out, Volley Bear, Lee Sin, have hamstrung Kanavi.
Yeah, and I mean, they've stuck so rigidly to their bans as well. They're getting rid of the Camille. They're getting rid of I believe they got rid of Twisted Fate once as well. But like, they haven't really changed their core of their bans. I think you got to change something right now because the Viego. Yeah, I was gonna say the Viego either first pick it on the blue side or force a ban on it.
You know what we've learned in the series? It takes 2 losses to realize you ban the enemy jungler's one trick, right?
Honestly.
It took 2 losses from RNG to realize, yeah, maybe we should ban Lee Sin, and JDG have lost 2 games, and like, hopefully they'll come back after the break and be like, okay, maybe we should ban Viego.
Is it going to be like 6 jungle bans across the board? That'd be
I don't think you need 6.